Welcome to the Savage Executive Podcast, where we lead with clarity, build with strategy, and multiply what matters. I'm your host, Steve Smith, and today we're celebrating a milestone. This is episode 10. 10 episodes in, and if you've been on the journey with me since the pilot, I want to pause right here and say thank you. Whether you've been listening on your commute, during your workout, or while you're grabbing a moment of quiet in the middle of a busy day, you've invested in yourself as a leader, and that matters. And in honor of this milestone, I want to do something different. Instead of introducing a brand new topic, I want to tie everything together, because leadership isn't about scattered ideas, it's about integrated habits. So today, we're going to walk through what we're going to call the Savage Blueprint, 10 steps to legendary leadership. These 10 steps capture the principles that we've covered so far and give you a framework that you can keep coming back to over and over again. All right, let's get started. Today's savage moment. Here it is. Legendary leadership isn't built in a day. It's built step by step. You realize every great leader that you admire didn't arrive overnight. They built habits, made decisions, and repeated them over time until those steps compounded into something extraordinary. When I was a very young leader, I wanted to read a book and then become a great leader. I wanted to listen to a podcast and become a great leader. I wanted instant things that would make me a great leader. But what I've realized is leadership isn't built quickly. Leadership is about habits and decisions that are repeated over and over again. So let's walk through the steps that we've covered so far. Step number 1 is lead with intention. Legendary leadership begins with a decision. You don't drift into influence, you choose it. In the pilot episode, I challenged you to think of yourself as the CEO of your own life. That's not about a title or a corner office, it's about ownership. When you wake up in the morning, and you're asking yourself, am I reacting to life or am I leading it? Leaders who last are intentional, not accidental. Step number 2, create space to win. We talked a whole lot about margin because margin fuels momentum. Without space, you suffocate your own leadership. I showed how filling every minute with activity isn't leadership, it's a slow death. Leaders need capacity, mental, emotional, and time margin. When you create space, you get clarity, and clarity creates momentum. Step 3, think like a visionary. Leaders don't wait for permission. They don't wait for a promotion. They lead from where they are. Having a savage executive mindset doesn't mean you're running a company. It means you're thinking long-term, setting direction and building systems instead of chasing after tasks. I hope you're asking yourself, am I thinking like a doer or like a designer? We talked about step number 4 in episode number 4, measuring what matters. Talk about an executive dashboard because noise is everywhere, but data is endless. But leaders who matter don't drown in the numbers. They clarify the few metrics that really matter. We talked about building that executive dashboard, not just collecting numbers, but using them as a compass. The right metrics bring alignment. They tell you if you're actually moving forward or if you are just busy. Step number 5, building your A-team. No leader succeeds alone. The myth of the lone genius leader is just that. It's a myth. We unpack the power of building your A-team, recruiting, retaining, and unleashing people who share the vision and own the mission. Your impact is limited by your people. If you want to multiply, invest in building the right team around you. All right, let's pause right here. How are you doing with these leadership habits? Are you adding to your leadership day by day? Are you leading with intention? Are you creating margin? Are you thinking like a visionary? Measuring what matters and building an A-team around you? Those were the first 5 episodes, but let's look at the next few. Episode 6, we talked about turning setbacks into setups, turning crisis into a catalyst. Crises don't create leaders, they reveal them. I shared a personal story of leading through crisis in a Christian school that we were leading. What I discovered is that a crisis can actually be a catalyst. If you're willing to learn, adapt, and empower others, a crisis can leave you stronger than you were before. The leaders who rise aren't the ones who avoid crisis. They're the ones who use it to grow. Step number 7, lead for the long haul. Burnout isn't a badge of honor. It's a warning light. We talked about building rhythms, not just routines, protecting non-negotiables, and learning to delegate and build margin. Sustainable leadership isn't about sprinting. It's about running with endurance. Legendary leaders think in decades, not just deadlines. Step number 8, cut through the noise. Complexity kills. We talked about how clarity multiplies focus. The best leaders cut through the noise and simplify priorities, and then they align their team around what matters most. Are you asking yourself, what's the one thing that will matter most 6 months from now? Then lead everything else to serve that clarity. The last episode that we put out, episode number 9, was Deletrain to multiply leaders. Delegation gives you relief. Deletraining gives you leaders. I introduced this blended word, deletrain, because delegation without training is just offloading. Delegation with training is multiplying. Every time you hand something off, you have a choice. You can dump it, or you could develop someone. The leaders who multiply always choose to develop. If you're like me, you're probably hearing this list and thinking, man, I could do better in a lot of these different areas. I almost forgot that we covered these areas. Hey, can I encourage you as a leader? We're always continuing to develop. And that brings us to step 10. As if you want to become a legendary leader, step 10 is leaving a mark. Leave a mark. The one that we haven't talked about yet is leaving your mark, because leadership isn't about today's applause. It's about tomorrow's impact. I don't care what industry or what area of ministry that you're serving in. Leadership isn't about today. It's about the impact that we're making for tomorrow. So I want you to ask yourself, what will outlast me because of how I led? What a powerful question that is. Will your people be stronger? Will your systems still work? Will your vision carry forward? Legendary leaders don't just chase results. They build legacies. They lead with eternity in mind. I hope as you lead, you're always focused on what's happening 10, 15, 30, 50 years from now. Because we don't want to have a flash in the pan success. We want to lead success for the long haul. What's going to outlast you because of how you have led? So here's your challenge this week. Can I encourage you to write down all 10 steps? I'm going to put them out in a graphic on social media. You can just grab those so that you can maybe print it out and post it in your office or in your vehicle or on a wall in your house. But get all 10 steps together, but then identify the one that you've neglected the most. And then over the next 7 days, focus on sharpening that step. Leadership isn't about knowing, it's about doing. So here's your savage takeaway for today. Legendary leadership is built step by step. Don't chase hacks. Build habits that multiply impact and leave a mark. I hope you've enjoyed the first 10 episodes. Maybe you don't think it's a big deal that we got to episode 10, but for me, it's a milestone. And I want to thank you for walking with me through these first 10 episodes of the Savage Executive Podcast. This isn't just content, it's a journey. And I believe if you'll take these steps seriously, you'll not only grow as a leader, you'll multiply your impact for years to come. I would love to hear from you. Which of these 10 steps has been most impactful for you so far? You can message me on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, drop a comment and let me know. And please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's ahead, because we are just getting started. Share this with a friend. And as always, stay sharp, lead boldly, and keep building what matters.